Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Rebel Wrap Up. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter, filling in for BKP this week, and I'm joined here on the couch by head coach of the Fannin Rebels, Chad Cheatham. Then we've got receivers coach Noah O'Neill. We've got running back Treylyn Owensby, and then also senior linebacker and left guard Jackson Weeks. I got everybody right?
I think that's right.
I got everybody right on the first try. We're doing good. We're doing great.
Off to a good start.
Well, we're already having a good time today. We were cutting up a little bit before the show got started here. And before we go any further, I want to say thank you to a couple of our sponsors here. We've got Circuit World of Blue Ridge, who is allowing us to broadcast live here, and we appreciate them, as well as Papa's Pizza to Go and Pepsi, our food and drink sponsors. And now we know, guys, you got your first region win this past Friday night against the Cherokee Bluff Bears, and we'll dive into that here in just a minute. But we always like to start off the show here considering that we are in region play and already in week 8 of high school football in the regular season.
Wow.
I was thinking about that the other night before I was getting ready to do the show, and I thought, gosh, are we already in week 8? That's just crazy. It's gone by too fast. And finally, though, I know last week I watched, or 2 weeks ago, I watched the show, and BKP was talking about how it was officially fall, and you said, well, I don't think anybody told that to the weather outside.
Right.
But today it actually feels like fall.
Yeah, that's
so I think now we can say it is officially fall here.
We hope it stays that way.
Exactly. It feels like football weather, and we are well underway here with the season and underway with region play. The Fannin Rebels are 4-1 overall and 1-0 in the region. And like I was saying earlier, you guys got the first region win of the season against Cherokee Bluff on Friday night. So Coach Cheatham, you and I, we talked a little bit about the game afterwards, and we did a little post-game interview, and you gave me some initial thoughts on the game. Do you want to talk a little bit about some additional thoughts on that?
Well, I always say it's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems until you look at the film and really, diagnose and digest everything that went on. Obviously, when you fumble the ball or turn it over 5 times, you're not doing a very good job on offense as far as protecting the football, protecting the lead. Wasn't happy with that. But, however, our defense, I thought, played extremely well and did what they were supposed to do. So we had to correct some things this week as far as ball security. We had a lot of guys are loading the box on us as far as teams go, trying to stop the run. And so we had to fix that, pick up blitzes and things like that. But overall, again, it wasn't as bad as it seemed. I feel like if we don't turn the ball over, we have a chance to have a little more success. Obviously not happy with that, so we've been working that this week.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you, Coach. Noah, you're an assistant coach. You have anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, just the same. I know all week we've just worked ball security. I know with the wideouts we had one on a screen pass. So this week we worked heavily on just catching, securing the ball, and taking off and running. And it was that way in both the backs and receivers group this week.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Now, guys, I'm not going to leave you out there in just a second. I'll come to you in just a minute. But, Coach Cheatham, I did want to ask you one more thing. Last week when I was watching the show, you said that to prepare for that game against Cherokee Bluff, you said that you guys were really just going to focus on yourselves. Do you feel like you did that for this past game?
For the Bluff game or for the East Hall game?
Well, let's go ahead and just do it for both. Let's start with the Bluff game and then go into East Hall.
I think every week you got to work on yourself. My biggest worry came true Friday night when somebody asked the question, what are you most worried about? I said, most worried about us. You always have that game in the season where you're in mid-season, like you said, week 8, 2 scrimmage games in, and then played 4-1, 5 games. That's 7. There's a lull right now. It's not easy. It's tough at this time of the year to continue and maintain the excitement. We have to work on us every week. We don't treat any game differently than the other. In our preparation, we try to stay the same and stay in routine. So, I think we worked on us a lot this week. Obviously, we worked on them. We worked on Cherokee Bluff. We had to make some changes this week for the game coming up.
Right. Well, guys, I'll bring you in now because, like I said, I don't want you to leave you just hanging out to dry over there on the sofa. But, Treylyn, we'll start with you. What did you think about your performance in the game on Friday night?
I definitely say one of the best performances I've had all season. Made quite a bit of mistakes with 2 fumbles and then a couple wrong routes I ran. And I didn't really run the best of my capability.
but you're planning to improve on that, right?
Yes.
for the game this
Yes.
Friday night. Yeah, and we'll get into that here in just a minute. Jackson, how about you? And I want to give you a shout out because you got 7 solo tackles, 13 total tackles, and 1 interception. So great game for you on Friday night. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I mean, defensively, I think we all played pretty good, and like we played our assignments. They had 7 points, but I mean that was just a blown play. Should have stopped that. And offensively, we got work to do, but we're getting there.
And we'll talk about some of the other great plays on defense for the Rebels because even though you kind of mentioned, Coach, that there were some things you wanted to work on, there's
Right.
always positives from every game.
Sure,
And at
absolutely.
Team FYN Sports, we're always about positivity.
Yeah,
we want to talk about
like I said,
positivity.
yeah, it's never as good as it seems, never as bad. When we looked at film, there were a lot of good things on film. A lot of positive things that we did right. Obviously, we won the football game, and that's positive.
Right.
You can turn the football over 5 times and win the game.
Right.
You're doing something right.
By 2 touchdowns, one
Yeah.
21-7.
Right.
I don't know. I may have failed to mention that before, and if I did, I apologize. But it was a great game. I was there watching it, cheering for the Rebels and everything. But some of the great plays that I saw on Friday night was Jacob Tuggle recovered a fumble, and there was that great interception by Jalen
That was
Ingram, who
huge.
did an awesome job his first night doing the kick returns as well. So there were a couple of records set for the Rebels on defense this season as well. Most tackles in a single game from this season with 50 solo and 60 assists. And the most sacks in a game with 5 overall was what I was reading on Max
I
Preps.
think that's right.
So let's talk a little bit about that. What's the plan to continue that momentum for this Friday night?
Well, we got to get to them first. They're very good. Their offensive scheme is very fast, up tempo. A lot of great receivers in space. Good quarterback, 2 good quarterbacks in 5 and 18. Very talented on the edge. Great running back in 23 and another one in 6. We've worked all week trying to keep them, contained and then cover those receivers because he scrambles and throws it. Coach O'Neill's been quarterback, been scrambling, been throwing. We brought in Brad Davis yesterday. It was a 2-year graduate. I think it's a couple years ago, 3 years ago. He was a great quarterback for Fannin just to give us some guys that can really throw it and scramble, and then they're very good. And we gotta stop them, contain them, and play in space.
And Jackson, you play on defense. So what have you guys from your side of the ball? What have you guys really been focusing on this week for East Hall?
Speed of the game, and like covering the pass and the outside stuff. Because we've had a few fast opponents, but no, I don't think we've played anybody as fast paced as them. And they run good, but we're not the fastest either. But we can beat them.
Yeah. Just got to take it one game at a time, right? Work on each game that's coming ahead of you. So let's talk a little bit about the Rebels offense on Friday night. Luke Holloway, who will be over here with us in just a minute, 6 for 11 with 94 yards, first touchdown from Treylyn. So congratulations, dude, getting that for 20 carries for 84 yards is what I was looking at. Last touchdown from Will Mosley, 8 carries for 26 yards and 1 reception for 15. So still some great moments over there for the Rebel offense. So let's talk about, mentioned a little bit some of the things that did go wrong, but let's talk a little bit about more what's the plan to sort of tighten that up and get ready on offense for this game on Friday night.
We've got to be able to block the front better, pick up the blitz, and they blitzed us, brought a lot of people in the box. We got to get to the edge and do some things in space better. Obviously, hold on to the football, slow the game down, and keep them off the field. Run the clock as best we can. Not really overall changes, things we do, just little tweaks here and there. But the biggest thing is I think the best way to defend them is keep them off the field. So we got to execute every play and try to stay in front of the chains. Don't get behind schedule, things like that. We can't afford 2nd and 20 and 3rd and 15s or 3rd and longs. We're just not capable of really making that's not in our repertoire as an offense. So. We got to stay on schedule and keep them off the field because they have great athletes in space. Up tempo, fast, drain your energy if they can. So that's kind of the plan right now.
So it's sounding to me like this is a team that you really had to double down and prepare for because each region, I was looking, and we'll talk about the region a little bit more when we come back from the break, but I was looking at it earlier today, and I thought, my gosh, this is such a tough region. I mean, it's a region where every team is different. So you've got to prepare for each game differently.
Absolutely. And I said it when we interviewed in the preseason. It's like the SEC. Everybody's better. Every team that we play in, and their record doesn't really. It's not an indication of how good they really are, because they've been in football games with a chance to win in every single one of them, and we got our work cut out for us.
Yeah, and I don't want to jump too far ahead for what we've got coming up in the second half, but I mean, looking at them, they've improved on every game that they play.
Every game they're much better, even on film. Personnel's different. They've starting to put everything together and bring those personnel guys together, and so it's changed. They've evolved and become a really good football team.
Yeah. All right, guys, I want to bring you guys back in real quick before we go to break. So, Treylyn, tell us what you're going to be working on specifically this week for the game on Friday.
Really just going back to the basics with holding the ball and just hitting the holes right.
Awesome. And how about you, Jackson?
Pushing through it when you're tired, because they're going to move fast.
Got to play 4 quarters, all 4 quarters. All right, y'all. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our first segment. It goes by quick here when we get out here and do the show. But when we come back, we'll be talking more about the upcoming region game against East Hall this Friday night. Stick around with us. You're watching Rebel Wrap Up. I'm Lauren Hunter.
The underdog. The long shot. The nobody from nowhere, never gonna happen in your dreams, kid. 100 to 1 shot. We know something about that. That putting your feet on that path to greatness and grinding it out day after day is a long, long road that can lead you to the promised land. And that's why we believe. We're with you every step of the way.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellen, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN 10 for your special deal today at Circuit World. In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
I'm Jeff Riblett, president of Asset Protection Group. As a certified financial planner and with 20 years experience, I've helped thousands of families and business owners create a tremendous amount of wealth. Fortunately, most of that wealth has been protected. Don't allow an unforeseen life event, such as a nursing home stay or the next market meltdown, destroy your family's wealth. Be smart. Call me. Let's determine how best to protect your assets and preserve your wealth.
Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Rebel Wrap Up. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter, filling in for BKP. And before we go any further, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Circuit World Blue Ridge, where we are currently broadcasting live from, and then also Papa's Pizza to Go and Pepsi for providing the food and beverages. Now, we still have head coach Chad Cheatham of the Fannin Rebels here on the sofa with us, as well as receivers coach Noah O'Neill. But we are joined by two more Rebels, Miles Johnson and Luke Holloway. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing wonderful.
Good.
Awesome. Well, I said when we came back, I was joking. I said, I'm just going to throw it over to Miles and be like, Miles, what you want to talk about? Just see what he says.
That's all you. I'm here for a good time, so you can have it.
All right. Well, we're going to look over the region a little bit, and then we'll come back over to you, Miles, because I know you got some things to say. I know you do. But anyway, the Fannin Rebels are 4-1 overall this season, doing awesome, 1-0 in the region. Talking about before the break how they got the first region win over the Cherokee Bluff Bears, 21-7 on Friday night. We're in week 8 of high school football, which means we are officially in region play. And in the same region as the Rebels, which is Region 7, Class 3A, we've got Fannin County, Greater Atlanta Christian, Dawson County, North Hall, Lumpkin County, Cherokee Bluff, and East Hall. So, Luke and Miles, because y'all are joining us just now, we'll talk a little bit back up here for just a few minutes and talk about last Friday night's game. So, Miles, we'll kick it off with you. You guys got the win, but let's tell us, how are you feeling about getting that first region win on Friday night?
I mean, it was good to get a win, but it wasn't what we wanted. Not by any means. We went there. I feel like we struggled, or I don't feel like we did struggle bad on offense. And luckily defense played a heck of a game, so they made sure we stayed in it. I mean, we had drives that looked positive. We just got to stop the errors and turnovers, and I think we'll be fine. We worked on it this week, so I think we'll be good this week.
Awesome. Luke, have anything you want to add in there?
Not really. Miles said we got the win. That's really the only thing that matters. Defense, like you said, played really good, bailed us out, and it's just the way it is. We're going to bail them out some, they're going to bail us out. And luckily, they came in clutch this week.
Yeah.
Got the win. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's right. Got the win. And like I said, you guys are 1-0 in the region now, and got that win behind you. Now it's time to move on to the next one.
Correct.
Go on to the next game, which is East Hall on Friday night. Y'all are going to them.
Right.
The Vikings are 1-5 overall and 0-2 in the region. But before we went to break, Coach Cheatham, you were talking about how the record really isn't indicative of them as a team.
Absolutely.
And I was going to throw out there, they're coming off of a loss to Dawson County, but they didn't let the Tigers off easy. Dawson County is a good team. The final score was 52-34, so East Hall Vikings still put, good amount of points on them. So, Coach Cheatham, we'll come to you first. What's the number one priority this week for y'all to prepare for the Vikings?
Get them off the field offensively. Get off the field on third downs, contain the quarterback, cover their receivers in space, and that good back 23 when they do run the football. And we got to tackle in the open field and just control the clock offensively. They're a very, very good football team. I don't think people understand. You just said, they take Dawson as far as they can take them, Chesty as far as they can take them, several teams. So they're better every week. Every time I watch them, they get better on tape. So that's the key to the game. Keep it out of their hands. If you don't, they're going to score points. They're going to score. They're going to get theirs. The key is you got to limit them to what they do by using your offense and get off the field on third down.
Now, Coach O'Neill, I said that I was going to bring you back in during the second segment. Don't want you to feel like you're just being left out over there, but you're talking about during the first segment, been working with the receivers this week a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about what you guys have been working on to get ready for this game.
Well, as far as last game, I think we definitely have to be more physical. I think a lot of our problems in the run game, and we talk every week about trying to find ways to bust big runs. And part of it's been is we've not blocked too well down the field. And so this week we've worked on getting our eyes on the right people, staying disciplined, and doing our job even when we think the ball's not coming to us. Because I'm a wide-out guy. I love to see the ball thrown. My guys love to have the ball thrown to them. I'm not going to lie. But we have a job to do even when we're running the ball, and we have to make sure we accomplish that this week.
Good. Great. Thanks, Coach O'Neill. Now, Miles, I'm going to bring you back in because I'm sure you're wanting to talk a little bit more. I'm just messing with you. But I always like to ask the guys whenever I do this show, what are you guys working on specifically, individually? Maybe it's something that you've taken from the game on Friday night that you've decided, okay, this is what I'm going to work on throughout the week to make sure it's perfect for Friday night.
Well, I got to work on, they got 2 defensive ends. One's more of a speed guy. And as far as me, I got to work on being able to handle speed a little bit better. I was able to see some speed last game against Cherokee Bluff until he got thrown out. But, I just need to work on that a little bit more and just keep up with him. And I'm just get the second level, too. Got to be able to take care of that as well. So.
How about you, Luke?
Not just me as much as like the whole offense. I think we really worked on finishing drives because last week we got a good job going and then turnover, penalty, something just killed us, shot ourselves in the foot basically. And I feel like that's going to be a big part to our game plan this week is just capitalizing when we in the red zone and even in their territory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we've been talking about this Vikings running game and offensive game during the night, and they exploded last Friday night, 29 completions, 44 attempts, for almost 500 yards. So really, what's the plan for defense to make sure that they are contained, that quarterback can't get the ball away? And Miles, bring that out to you a little bit as well, too. But
Well, mix up your coverages, one. If you sit in there in one coverage and he gets a read on you, he knows what he's doing. As far as you're bringing blitzes or you're sitting in the same coverage every single time, and whether you're forcing with the safeties or you're covering down it, he's going to pick you apart. He's going to find holes, bringing backers, containing with our defensive ends. All those things are going to come into play. They extend the play so well. He scrambles, he dumps it. We got to stay in our rush lanes and hold the receivers. We've been working on it all week. Scramble periods. Don't leave those guys if they're in your zone, if we're in man, whatever it's in. Stay locked on because this guy can extend the play like nobody we've played so far.
Mm-hmm. Now, Coach Cheatham, I want to bring up something real quick that we kind of touched on a little bit earlier. We were talking about this time of year, there's a lot of excitement with the record that you guys have and continuing to win game after game. Last week I went into the half, you had a gain over them, you had a lead over them. And, I'm sure, no doubt, you went in there and kind of had to tell the guys, okay, let's make sure we focus. Let's make sure we stay in the game and focus a little bit. So how about you tell us kind of about that for this week and for the rest of region play as well, if you don't mind. How do you make sure that the guys stay focused from game to game?
Well, I think staying in routine is big. Don't change what you're doing. I kept saying on the sideline, the headsets, guys, don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. I think at halftime come in and said the same thing. Guys, don't panic. We've shot ourselves in the foot, like Luke said, but we're in the football game. Let's take care of the ball. Let's do what we got to do. Even late in the game, I felt like I continued the same thing. Calm down, panic. We're 2 touchdowns ahead. The clock's running. Let's don't try to do something crazy. Let's get out of here. We've made mistakes. Let's get out of here for a win, and let's prepare for East Hall. And fortunately, we were able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Now, Coach O'Neill, you're talking about how the receivers love to have the ball thrown to them and everything. So kind of the same question, what do you do to make sure to keep them focused for their job, whether it's having the ball thrown to them or something else?
And a big thing we talk about is servanthood and just unselfishness. We're going to do what we do best, depending on the situation. And if we're going to run the ball, if that's our plan, if that's what's working for us, they're going to block. It's just the way it is. If we need to throw the ball, we'll throw the ball. But they need to be ready to do whatever because it's bigger than them. It's bigger than me. This coaching staff's bigger than me. The team is bigger than my wideouts. So we got to do whatever it takes to be successful, whether it's catching the ball or blocking. And that's just, we try to preach that constantly. Just constant. We're here to help each other. We're here to give a team effort and win. Whether we're running for 500 yards or throwing, we don't care. We want to get it done.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Now, Miles, I'm going to bring you back in now. So let's talk a little bit. What have you guys been working on down there in the offensive line to make sure that Luke is protected and your running backs can get through and everything?
Well, past 2 games we have been throwing blitzes and a bunch of people on the line. So, I've got to work on being a better communicator as far as the offensive line. We just got to be able to pick up blitzes because we don't know what we're ever going to get. We didn't think we were going to have 7 people on the line last week, but we got 7 people on the line. So you just got to pick up what you're given. And, we got to be able to be dominant up front That way we can run, we can pass, we do whatever we want and whoever we're playing. So.
Thanks, Miles. Now, Luke, let's talk a little bit about in your position. How is their defense different from some of the other teams that you've seen so far, and what have you guys been working on to prepare for that?
They're a 4-man front, 4-3 or 4-2-5. So they've got 6 men in the box, but last couple of weeks, like Miles said, they've loaded the box on us, and that's part of what we worked on too, is picking up blitzes, whether we're throwing or running the ball, and just calling out who's got who and hitting our hot routes when they bring blitzes, and just getting the ball out of my hands quick.
Awesome. Well, it's like I said earlier, you guys have got one region game behind you now. So go ahead and tell us, Coach Cheatham, without giving, this is the question that I know you kind of love to hate, but are there any adjustments that y'all have really been working on making for this game from last game?
Well, I think offensively we got to get people off of us. And whether that's with motions or trades and shifts or whatever we got to do to get them off of our line, because they are bringing 7 like Miles. They are bringing safeties in the box. We got to get them off of us, and we got some room to breathe. And so we kind of working on that offensively, developing a little bit. Other than that, up tempo on defense, we have really stressed our defense this week with pressure, snapping the ball quick with 2 groups, making them respond really quick, because that's what they're going to do, and hopefully it turns out to be okay for us.
So really this week, pressure, speed, and being up tempo.
Absolutely, all the time.
That's what I'm kind of getting away
That's
from.
right.
Away from this, and that it sounds to me kind of like how the season is too. With each game, you got to be a little bit more, a little bit quicker.
Everyone's more important than the other one. Everyone's a step. That's what I told them on Monday. And if you look at the region, this one is very, very big as far as making the playoffs and making a run.
Now, Coach O'Neill, you're talking about a little bit with the receivers, where that shift that they have to make between whether it's blocking or it's getting ready to have the ball thrown to them. How have you guys been working on that to just be able to make sure they can change quickly from one to the other?
I mean, we just rep it and team. We mix it up well. I mean, we'll go from a 7-on-7 period where they're catching all the time to team inside run where they're going to have to block. We prepare either way. I mean, the biggest thing is they just have to be ready all the time. If people are going to stack the box when we get the chance to make the big play, they got to make it. You got to make people pay. And last week, I think that's something we struggled with. We had some opportunities to make the big play
Well,
and
big
punish
play
it.
on the first play
Of the game, and we dropped it.
Touchdown.
And I think it's a completely different game if they stack the box first play and you hit them big, and now you have people saying, well, can we do this all game? And when you don't make those plays, those guys say, yeah, we can do this all game long.
Awesome. Now, Miles and Luke, you guys both play on the offensive side of the ball, so tell me a little bit. Miles, we'll start with you. How is the offense, especially the offensive line, how are you guys coming together at this point in the season?
I feel like as far as offensive line, we got a good bond going on. I mean, we know what each other's got, and we know we got each other's back. And I feel like this week, especially, we're having a better time picking up what we got to do as far as assignments and offensively. I feel like we're well prepared for this game this week, and we'll be ready to go.
Awesome. And how about you, Luke? You want to add anything to that?
Like Coach O'Neill said, just be
One more question, and I think we're probably getting ready to wrap up here. But how do you think the team as a whole is coming together at this point in the season?
Oh, these kids are great. They always have been. Things don't change for us. We're upbeat and we laugh and make fun of each other and joke around every single day. And,
I saw that earlier
and,
tonight.
That makes it fun. I think that's important at this time of the year because it is tough at this time of the year. You're beat up, you're banged up, you're there every day, and you're in your weight room every day. So you've got to try to change and think outside the box and make it fun and upbeat a little bit because it's a tough game. We're beat up a little bit right now. We got some guys that are sick, but hopefully by Friday we'll be healed up and be ready to go.
Yep, definitely hoping that. Want to make sure the team's all ready to go for each Friday night.
That's right.
Especially since you got to travel down to them.
Another 2-hour drive. That's tough. That's a whole nother factor that plays into it. Plus, it was 95 degrees when we got there last Friday.
Yes.
Now it's going to be cool this Friday. So you're dealing with a whole different scenario there also.
Man, seasons in Georgia. That would be a whole nother show in
It
itself.
would be, yes, it would be.
All right, guys. Well, I want to say thank you again for joining us tonight. Head coach Chad Cheatham.
Thank you.
Receivers coach Noah O'Neill. Miles Johnson and Luke Holloway. Quarterback and offensive guard and tackle there. So want to say thank you again also to Circuit World of Blue Ridge for allowing us to host here, and to Papa's Pizza to Go and Pepsi for being our food and beverage sponsors. Don't forget to tune in to Instant Replay every Monday morning at 10:10 a.m. I host, and I'll be talking about these guys recapping their game against the East Hall Vikings on Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Team FYN Sports, where you can get score updates throughout the game. And then keep a lookout for a game recap article and pictures and post-game coaches interviews and more on there as well. So I'm Lauren Hunter signing out for Rebel Wrap Up tonight.